afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely sunny Sunday afternoon. It's really nice here, so I'm sure a lot of you are out in the garden. And if you're watching later, then hope you had a lovely day. We're just sort of back from our class yesterday in Stoke-on-Trent. We had such a fabulous time, met lots of people, and just really had a wonderful day. It was just, everything was just right. It was lovely. A bit of a long day. I think Tommy said he was up at 5 in the morning because, of course, he'd got to come to me. We'd got to be there for 8 to set up. So, a bit of a crazy one, but it was well worth it. And even he said so. So, absolutely brilliant day. But here we are, on to our sewing and the Sanntangle Flower Quilt. So, I'm going to carry on, get straight to it if I'm late. I'm not going to worry about instructions there. I'm more interested in what's going on here because looking at it the last couple of weeks, we've done this one. I've worked my way along. Last week we did sort of these two here. So today it looks like we're on this one, maybe even this one, depending on how we get on with it. So let's make a start, shall we? First things first, I've got my regular fine liner pen. Just checking. I've got two 05s. I want an 03. Oh, there we go. Got one. That's crazy, isn't it? I was looking for 05s yesterday. I didn't have one in my kit. And then all of a sudden I've got two in the same place. I've got a pencil. Don't really need a pencil, but I've also got these. And of course, these are our Frixion pens. So if you feel that you need to draw something almost like using a pencil and a rubber, you can do that. So let's have a look then. I've got my regulars because, as you know, I'm going to do the one drawing on the block without the stitches, and then one drawing on this one that I've already made up, purely because I'm going to be doing two lots. So my quilt's going to be double the size, and I thought that'd be quite nice to sort of see how you draw it on this and how you do it on that as well. So, okay, let's make a start, shall we? Let's have a little bit of a look at it. Okay, first of all, starts with a swirl, and then you've got all these lines sort of coming out of it with little sort of 3 lines coming off and creating a little bit of a design there. So, okay, I'm going to come straight in with pen. Again, if you would rather do this with the Frixion pen, then that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Not forgetting, of course, we need a bit of a seam allowance around the edge because the final one needs stitching together. So, all right, enough said. Let's get on with it and start with a swirl. So I'm going to do something similar to what's already in the image there. And I'm going to put a few different ones in. So I'm going to start here with a swirl. And again, if you would rather use a Frixion pen first and then draw in your swirl, you know, draw a bubble and draw your swirl inside that. It's quite small. Let's go a bit bigger now, you can see it. There you are. There it is. And to get this particular shape, what's quite nice, we can come in and add in 2 lines, top and bottom. We can then 2 more lines side by side, or top and bottom, meaning that I've moved it. It gives us our first bit. And let's put those little sort of prongs on either side. And that gives us the 3 little levels. I'm just going to give them a bit of depth there. Same there, look. So they're a little bit heavier than the lines that I've drawn. Okay. And then, again, a bit of a choice here. We can go 2s and 3s, or we could go more. I'm going to put another one in. Now, this time I'm going to make it, let's have a look, slightly a bit longer. Okay, a bit longer. So I'm changing the size of that line there. A bit longer. Okay, and then let's add that little bit of detail at the top there. So you just sort of ever so gently going back and forth. It's going to give me a little bit of a darker line. There we are. So then I'm going to put one in the middle, but this time they're going to be a little bit shorter. Okay, working around. Just putting one of these lines in every space. Taking my time there. And then, of course, here we go again. And adding those little shapes on the end. And again, just sort of going over them a few times. So I'm not pressing on, I'm not forcing the pen. I'm just taking my time and adding them on as I go. I see a couple of extras. Just makes it a little bit heavier on the top there. So no pressing on, just let the pen do its job. So here we go. There's our first one. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go a little bit bigger there. I'm going to add a little bit more depth to one side as well, just to give it, there you go, a little bit of dimension along that edge. Okay. And then whilst I'm at it, I'm going to come in, just put some dots in. Not too big, just around that edge there. I'll go a bit bigger in a minute so you can see what I've done there. There we go. Just a few little dots. Just gives it, again, a bit of shading this side rather than it all being the same on both sides. So that would be a really easy one to stitch as well, isn't it? If you wanted to do that, rather than draw it. So my little stem now, I'm going to come on in. Again, I'm going to hold the fabric because I've got no interfacing on it. Of course, if you want to do that, you can do that, or a bit of structure behind it. I've got two lines, quite thin. Okay, let's go a bit bigger now. You can see it's quite thin there. All right, and now my leaves. Let's have a look at my leaves. Here we go. If you look at those, they're very similar, a little bit fatter maybe than the ones we did last week. So I think it'd be quite nice to change them up a little bit. What do you think? We'll do something a bit different. So we can still go in with that longer shape, almost as though I'm drawing a little loop. And I'm going to put a little loop on the top there. And then here, I'm not going to go too far out. Little loop there. And here it's going to go sort of underneath. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay. And then from the top here, we can take those little lines in. So I'm not going to go too far in. I'm not going to step them too much at all, but I'm drawing these little curved edges and they're working their way up to the top there to create a part of a leaf. And then on this side, similar thing. And I'm going to try and join them if I can to those lines there. Go that way as well. And it gives it a little bit of consistency. Okay. So let's put one this side as well. I'm going to go quite close again to the flower there. A bit longer this time. And then I'm going to bring one of those out there. And that one's going to sort of sit behind there. Okay. And then as before, I'm going to start them off, bringing them along as we go. So I'm not going in too thin. I don't want them to sort of go too close to that sort of vein before I want it to. So there we go, putting them in there. And then this one, similar thing. And again, I'm going to try and, I've actually, rather than try and join them up, let's start it from that line and work our way outwards. And there we go. Let's have a little look at that. Okay, so it's given us a little bit of a different shape there. It's kind of nice. I'm going to come down a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to do another one. I'm only going to do another one now, but on the image it shows you 3. So again, I'm going to do a swirl, but you notice this time it's a lot lower down. I'm not trying to do a set that's completely the same across. And let's darken that side up a bit, just like we did there. I can do actually all of them, look. I'll do that with that as well. Let me zoom in so you can see what I've done there. You see, thickened up each of those little sections. And then, as before, let's create our lines, top and bottom. turn it round. And the same here. So I've got my first little lines in there. And again, let's add a bit of darkness there and go over the lines a few times. Same here. And this one. So, working my way up there. So, in between the spaces. So that one's going to sort of go up there. I don't mind if they cross over. That's fine. And along we go. Same with this one. And this one. And of course, that one there. Again, it's crossing over, that's fine. So then I'm going to bring these lines in between. So you can see what I'm doing there. Just marking those lines in. And into that one. And then, again, adding those little shapes on the end. So, working with this one and this one. It's sort of kind of nice, isn't it, to have something that is a flower, but it's a little bit different. That sort of works. And then I want a similar sort of ground, so let's do this, and I'm going to add a little bit of ground in there. Always put another line underneath so it gives a sense that it's not completely flat. And then as before, I'm going to bring that little stem, first one and the other. Okay, let's have a little look at that. Okay, do I want to have both leaves in? I think this time, rather than have all the leaf, I'm going to come in and create a little bit of a starting point of it. So just a little bit smaller, because we don't want the leaves to dominate. But it shows there's a little bit of consistency there. Okay, there we go. So that is our first one. Oh, I'm not forgetting, of course, a few little dots. Let's go a little bit bigger. A few little dots in the area. Okay, just sort of in that edge, on that side. I think having the different sort of leaves there, it just gives it a little bit of a, let's fill those in actually. A sense that something's got a bit of interest in it. That's our first. Let's have a look at that. Okay. So looking at the book, there it is. So we've got 3 there, and see we've got these little loops for leaves, but we've just mixed it up a little bit and made it a little bit more interesting. So I think I'm going to move over now to my block piece. I only actually need one. There you go. I think just before I do, I'm going to swap my pen over for a 3, because I've been using a 2, and I do think the 3s work a little bit better on the fabric. Here we go. 3 in hand, that's much better. Okay. So what we're going to do that's any different, last week we did a larger sort of piece, so I think this week we can do something like that as well. You notice this one has got a bit of a swirl already in the background, whereas this is plain. It just means it's got a bit of interest. Again, it's about, you doing the quilt your way and putting on it whatever you want to put on. So, okay, immediately I've got a little bit of a better line there with my 3 than my 2. So I'm going to come round with that swirl and work it. You see, I'm sort of stroking the line on each time. It's not like a sketch. It's more of a confident brush stroke. Now, when I get to where I think that's big enough, I'm going to bring it in to join the rest of it. And same way I've done the others, let's thicken up those edges a little bit, just on one side. just to give it a little bit more depth in there. There you go. Okay, be a little bit around there. Okay, and this time again we can add in those lines. So I'm going to go quite large. You know, I've got something to work to anyway with the piece already being made up. Although I think we did mention that last week, didn't we, about making it up first. It's fine, but if you make a mistake with your drawing, you've actually spent time on a whole block. Whereas if you do it on the piece first, you can then actually make it round. So this time I'm going to add in 2 in each of the spaces, and I'm going to have them at different lengths. So I'm not trying to think, oh, I'm going to do a long and a short. I'm just going in and doing sort of what I think at the time. Whatever works for me there. And then this one. So similar thing again. I'm breaking that space up, so I've got a similar distance between them. So they're all going to have a bit of consistency. There we go. Okay. Bit of almost like a sunbeamy kind of thing, isn't it now? So again, bringing those lines in, I'm going to, you know, redefine them a little bit. So I'm going back over a few times just to give me a little bit of shape at the top there. And you'll notice this time I did each one with the line first, and now I'm coming back in to do these. It's whichever way works. You can do one line and put these little shapes on first and work around, or put all the lines in. And if you didn't want these lines as well, you could do little sort of bubbles, or you could add leaves on, whatever you want to do really. This is just a guide. It's your quilt. You can do what you want to do on it. It'd be lovely when they're all done. I know I asked last week, was it last week, for a couple of photographs of the first quilt. I know a couple of you have sent me those. Thank you. Could you, if you have done it, could you send me a photograph, sort of a plan view? And I'll put all the quilts together so we can have a look at all the different colours. That'd be really nice. And if you've not done that quilt yet, oh, come on, you can get that done. Even if you just show me the front, that'd be lovely. All right, so this time we've got it dark in. We put dots on that last one. I'm going to do the same, but my dots are going to be a little bit bigger. They're going to be more bubbles. Because it's a bigger piece, we can get away with it. We can add a few extras in it. So again, I'm not going to go all the way round. I'm going to stick with one side. And I'm going to add a few little shapes. And you see how they're getting a little bit smaller as they get further away. Work my way around. I'll just sort of keep going. And add some little dots in there. Just sort of getting a little bit smaller, working my way around. So let's have a little look at that. There we go. It's slightly to one side there, isn't it? So you think, okay, slightly to one side. Do I want to add anything else to it? Maybe, maybe not. I could come in with, you see I've got the circles there. So maybe I could come in and add some bubbles on this side. Just to balance it up a little bit. And I think it's really good that you can do that. You can have a look and think, well, actually, I do want to do something else. There we are. So you've got a bit of balance. Let's do a few here as well. So never worry about something being in the middle or not. There's always extra bits you can add to it and create something a little bit different. Okay, so how different is that one compared to that one? So again, this is sort of on one side, isn't it? So you're going to get a little bit of a piece here. Maybe coming along here, you could actually come in, add one of those little lines. So they've come off. And they're sort of floating away. getting really smaller and smaller. Let's do one now. So you've got a little bit of balance working your way around. Let's go a little bit bigger with that, just so you can see it. So you're exactly the same, a little line. Just adding those little bits in. So that's 2 ways of doing that particular design. We've changed the leaf a bit, but 2 complete different ways. So let's have a look at our instructions again, and we can tick that one off to say, yeah, that one's done and sorted. So let's have a look. We've got this one, a little bit more complex this. We've got a few extra little bits and pieces with it. And then you can see here we've got some leaves and some sort of swirly in between ins and outs. But okay, let's have a look at that one then. Let's take that away and move that one. Notice as well, look, I'm actually working because I've got no interface and I've got a few pieces underneath just to give it a little bit of a lighter feel to it. But you can work with whatever. If you don't want to use any structure, you could always put in an embroidery hoop and draw it and then take it out if you wanted to. But choice is yours. Okay, so we're starting sort of in the middle, or sort of on one end. So what I want to do before I start is I'm going to come in with my Frixion pen, just to be sure. And I'm going to put myself a little bit of a measurement in here. I say measurement. Never got a ruler when you need one. Here we go. Here we go. So, this is, I think it's 1 3/4 inches, something like that. But you see here, these 2 marks, that's 1/4 inch. And I'm going to give myself, just to be sure, because I don't want it on the end. So let's go on. I'm going to give myself a good, let's have a look. 1/4 inch. I'm going to go 3. See, I've got 1, 2, 3 lines. And put myself a line in. That's just going to, if it works, here we go. There we are. That's better. Just to give myself a little bit of a space to work on. Because my seam allowance is going to be 1/4 inch, which is the 2 marks. So I've got an extra mark, just so I know that what I draw isn't going to go into my seam allowance. Okay. So I've just done those 2 edges because, of course, looking at my instructions, here we are. It's sort of on the corner anyway. So, and again, you've got to think about this bit here coming off. So let's make a start then. I think first things first, we're going to put these flowers in. So I'm going to start with, it's like a bit of a sort of a droplet shape. Let's go that way. See, around. It comes back on itself, like that. So let's put a few of those in. Let's have one sort of here. And then here. Now, I don't want to go too close to that allowance, remember, because we've got some little leaves and things to put in. There we go. So I've got different sizes and they're sort of all working their way out that way. We could add more, but I think that's for now probably enough. So let's go a little bit bigger. Okay, so doesn't matter which one we start with. I'm going to put a line about the middle-ish, and then I'm going to fill this with lines. See how they curve to match the shape, like so. And then looking at this piece on the top, I'm going to come in with a little line that way. Now, depending on what size you've drawn these, you might get more lines than me, or you might not get the same amount. I'm going to fill that with ink. But that's your shape. All right. So, same with the others. Start with those curves. And we can keep it going. And then going this way, working towards the point. And filling those little bits in the centre there. Same with this one. You see, just be gentle with your pen as it goes over the fabric there. And into that one. They're quite quick really, aren't they? Quite an easy one to do once you get the hang of it. This is all in the shading and things. Of course, having that little bit of a black centre there helps as well. Okay, Bit of an odd shape, that one, but that's okay. They're all different. Now in the instructions here, you can see that it shows you those 3 steps, and that's what you've got on here. But I'm going to change it up a little bit, so let's go a bit bigger. And I'm going to put a little cup on the bottom of each one, like that, sort of a part bubble. And that one there. So that just gives it a little bit of shape straight away. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve on either side. And then we can make a little shape on the edges there. So remember, cup first, then your curves, and come back so they're quite thin. And you see they're sort of going the same way as the flower is. So this one's going to have to go that way and back, so they're really thin. Yeah. And then bringing it in, let's look, I'm going to come in first, one edge of this cup, I want to put a bit of a curve in. It's going to work its way down to that corner. And same sort of thing, follow it along the other side. Down to that corner. Now, looking at the edge, you can straighten it off, you could round it off, whatever you want to do. It's nice to have a little bit of an angle in there. So that's our first one. So then let's take this one and I'm going to bring it round here. I want a bit of a swirl in there and down sort of to the base. And again, let's just angle it off a little bit. So looking at this one, again, let's bring it a little bit of a bend in there. It's going to sort of come round there. Same again. It's nice to have that little bit of a wave on it, because sometimes if they're too straight, it can look a bit rigid and it doesn't look like they're moving, and we want them to sort of look like they're moving in the wind a little bit, maybe. See? So it's going up and around, and then you can decide if you want to add any more. Let's just have a little look at that before we go on. Okay, quite nice. I think it does need a couple more. I think what we'll do is, let's have a look, put one sort of a bit further out up here. And then another one maybe here. There we go. And repeat the process. You see, it's always nice to draw a few first, and then if you feel you need any more, go back in. Just put that little cup on there as I'm working. Rather than you have to do it and think, I don't really want to do that. Okay. There we are. There we go, that little cup on the bottom. And let's bring them in. So, see, it's going along there. Don't worry too much about the direction where they're going. You see how weird it looks now without those little sort of like leaf shapes on the edge? Sometimes, you know, you do something and think that looks great, but then having that extra little bit on makes all the difference. You see, I'm not going to worry about where it's going in the midst of all that now, because it's getting a little bit busy, but we know it's there. So let's put those on again. There we go. That's much better, isn't it? So, a bit of an interest to it then. I'm going to come in, let's go a bit bigger actually so you can see it. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to have a little curl on it there. And let's put a few more of those in. See, just coming round as a curl. And then you can decide if it goes over or under. Look. And let's bring one in here. And a few up there. And let's take that one a little bit further. See, I might have gone under, but yours can go over. All the way over. Okay. And then next to each one, I'm going to go a little bit going to put myself a little leaf shape. Split it in two. And then one side I'm going to give some little lines. Let's do that again. So in we go, a little line in the middle. Doesn't matter which side, but I'm going to put some little lines in just to give it a little bit of shape. See, let's not quite touch the stem, that's okay. So let's find these curls now and put those leaf shapes in. And they just come off that corner edge there. Again, doesn't matter which side those lines go. You can mix and match the angles up and things as well. Just to, again, give it a little bit of interest. Let's see one here, look. And they do, honestly, they work really quickly. These pieces don't take a long time to draw. And that's the nice thing. We know quilts can be quite a long process. And it's nice to do all the drawings and things, but they're going to look completely unique, but they're not going to take a massive amount of time. So let's have a look at that. Yeah. I think just to finish it off, I'm going to bring in a couple of little lines, bobbles on. We do that a lot. So that's something, if you're used to working with me and the tangles, you'll know that how to draw those. And again, you can see it gives it a little bit of depth to it, doesn't it? There you go. Having a few in there. Oh, and let's go. And it just sort of extends the piece a little bit. You can take it a little bit further up. And let's go with one here. And one more. Okay, quite a nice little piece in its own right. Maybe just put curls on the end there. All right. So that's the first one. Okay, let's have a look at another one of those. So we've got this version. Let's bring in this bit now and see where we can sort of go with this. So again, we've played with size a little bit, certainly with the last sort of couple. You can certainly do that. But again, we can also work with different shapes. So I'm going to just bring my Frixion pen in. And rather than sort of start in the corner, what if we did sort of like a diagonal type of variation? Just going to put a little line in across those. Let's do one that side as well. Just so we know where those corners are. Okay. So I'm going to tilt it to sort of one side now. We'll start on this little bit here. I'm going to keep it so you can see it all, so you can have an idea of size. So what I'm going to do is, let's do one here. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it and do one here. Oh. I'm getting carried away again. There you go. And then turn it and do one here. There we go. And turn it and do one here. So I've got, they're not the same, but they're in a similar position. So let's do one on this side now. So I've got a bit of an angle going on. The same here. An angle going on. And this one. I actually find it easier to draw it on the block on its own rather than on this. This seems to be a little bit bumpier because it's already been stitched and pressed and things. So that's just an interesting concept if you're thinking, oh, which is the best way to go. So again, I'm going to do these little patterns on all. You notice I put my little part bubble in there, fill that section, and I'm going to stick with my little leaf shape because I've done that in the last one. I'm going to do that in this as well. It's nice to see how you can extend it a little bit. Just change that shape up, isn't it? Do something that not everybody knows. if you're just following the instructions and not watching the videos, then you don't get that extra bit of inspiration. Right, see, these are really quick to do. Don't take long at all. And then this one. And of course you can do these in different colours. You can paint them, whatever works for you. But we just know we're going to get completely unique pieces, which is lovely. That's what we want. And there goes. In there. And that one. See, little part bubble. And then this one. See, just by having those lines with that Frixion pen to start with, it's given us a sort of a different feel to the piece, because we're not having to decide where to put them. It's a little bit more structured. Let's see this one. And along each of the sections, putting those curves, same that way, and of course filling in that bit in the middle. And along we go. There we go, and this one. Filling that in. And of course, adding those little lines in there. Adding those ones. Okay, so far so good. So I want to come back down to this bottom edge, and again, let's have a bit of a swirl. And I'm going to bring that one in first. Again, just sort of clip it off at the end. Then this one, bit of a swirl. So again, I'm not looking at the first one thinking it's got to be exactly the same. I'm going with it. I'm knowing that my swirl's sort of going that way. And I'm doing each one of those first. But I'm not sort of worried about whether they sort of go in or out or they match, because they might be in slightly different places. Okay. So let's go a bit bigger now. And this time I'm going to sort of go behind. So it's not got far to go. And again. So behind, and just sort of clip it off at the bottom. Next one, there we are, behind, and this one. Just gives it a bit of interest there, doesn't it? It's quite nice having it on those corners. So, working again with my curls, I want to put a few in. See, maybe one there, look, and one sort of coming up and around there. So, similar thing, one here, and then one coming off of that one, up and round there. Oh, sorry, I'm off the screen there. One again, and around, and up and around. See, it's gone behind that leaf there. Curve, and one there, and then this side, I'm just going to bring one out here. Might just leave it at that actually. Let's see what that looks like, because of course we've got to put all our leaves on these yet. And don't forget, you can actually use your Frixion pen if you want to draw all of this. And then when you're comfortable with it, going in pen. But now and again, I think it's nice to think, do you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. See, I'm just adding those leaves in now. With this one. You can go a lot bigger if you want. You can go a bit smaller. They don't have to be the same as mine. You can pick and choose. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of inspiration here. So of course, wherever I've got those curls now, coming in and adding in those little leafy shapes and filling one of the sides with lines or diagonal lines. And again, really quick piece to do. It's not tricky in a sense. I'm dealing with the same things. It's lines and a few curves with this one. And you don't really have to think about the layout so much. It's quite a nice one to do there. Let's have a little look, see? So as before, I can come in now and we can add some of those curves with bubbles on the end. And you see it extends the piece out and it takes it sort of up and into the middle a little bit. Let's put one in here, look. You can choose to have them go in there. Left or right to left, doesn't matter. Wherever you want to put them. But they're very easy in the sense that they'll sort of draw themselves in a sense. You put your pen to fabric and away you go with it. Maybe one there, look. See a little one? This is, it's a bit different than what you see in the instructions now. It's because we've got a bit more time and we've been able to see it grow. I think it just helps you sort of to create your own version, doesn't it? Okay. Look. So now I'm not trying to make them the same. I'm going with whatever's in front of me and adding some of those little shapes in. If then the pieces that you've drawn are not symmetrical in any way, or not the same, it shows it doesn't really matter because we weren't trying to go for something exact anyway. So it's all good. Okay, let's have a look at that. You see, that's lovely, isn't it? Completely different, in a sense, to that one. So we've got a corner piece, or whether you want it sort of coming down. That's quite nice, isn't it? Having it at the top coming down. Or whether you want to do it corner to corner, entirely up to you. So, all right, quick recap because we can tick this one off. So I've got my corner one that I've done. I've got my borders, or you can do it in each corner if you want to. And then we've also done this one today, which is our little sort of almost like little dandelion kind of thing. We've changed the leaf up a bit, but then I've gone with a larger one and bubbles there. Colouring wise, I'd add a little bit of colour around here and a little bit sort of spurting off, a bit in the bubbles. This one, same sort of thing, and a little bit in the leaf design there. And then for this one, colour wise, I would actually colour, and I say I would actually colour, I don't have my pencils, see, so I need to sort that out. I'm going to put some colour on either side of the shape, and then a little bit down the stems, and that will give me the colour there. Same sort of thing with that one. So, okay, let's have a look then. So we can tick that one off and that one. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 20 flowers already. So next week we're going to do another 2, or hopefully it's going to be a different time though, because of course I'm teaching next Sunday. So we're looking more at 7 o'clock in the evening for this one. And we'll probably look at this one and this one. So we're sort of working our way snake-like down the page. So next week we're going to be here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, number 8, number 9. And then we'll go from there. So see if you can keep up this week and at least get one done. That would be lovely. Even if they're not coloured and you've just drawn them, at least then you're getting them done and you're getting into a routine to sort of work at the same pace. Otherwise, I think we tend to leave them and it'll never get done. So, come on, you can do it. I've got faith in you. If you feel you need a hand, just, put a message on the group and let us see how you're getting on. And, okay, I will see you at 7 o'clock next week for our next one. So, have fun with it, everybody. Have a lovely weekend, what's left of it. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.